while this one on the golf course. And while he's on the golf course, we go to the Commission of Inquiry. And since 2018, put up that image, this pipe. And I'm asking you all earlier clock as we broach this topic. Prior to the commencement of this project, the said pipeline had been inactive since even before PARIA commenced operations in December 2018, and it will remain inactive until the project was completed. So why, Archie? Why, citizens? What was the job going on? You could move it in now. I'll finish with that. What was the job for? What that pipeline was for? You see, just before that, just before the work started in 2021 and so on, the UNC bust the mark on Del C landing a sanctioned jet with PDVSA officials with Newman, George, Stewart, Smallpin, and Rowley to meet face to face. And then the UNC bust the mark with Trafigura PTE bringing in 210,000 barrels of fuel from Trafigura PTE and selling it to ES Euro Shipping, Wilmer Ruperti to Wilmer Ruperti, PARIA. They got caught. Wade Mark brought a motion, and 54 days after the ship left, after Asha Javid said she see the sanction clause while she was looking up at Smallpin. Remember all of that? Because the US was in the Caribbean Sea and the Aldan had switched off its transponder, yet a reporter in Venezuela received the exact movements of that ship leaving Trinidad and Tobago and going and offloading fuel under sanctions of the USA. Unloading fuel at Palo at Alito in Venezuela. When I asked Franklin Khan in the Senate how much fuel came in, purchased from Wilmer Ruperti Trafigura and sold to ES Euro Shipping in April 2020 in that 1 month, because all the reports were about 148,000 moving out, 210,000 coming in. That was all. He answered, and it's on Hansard, 1.2 million barrels of gas came in and went out. So what that pipe was for? That pipe wasn't there. What did you use it? The pipe was down there since before 2018, nothing. What you sending man down there to do? What is the purpose of the job? What was the pipe there for? Nobody asking that. But this question, put up Kapil Bissoon commentary and listen and read carefully. Kapil Bissoon said, why are PARIA and Heritage insulting the memory of these 4 divers and the people of the country by the refusal of personnel of these state-owned entities? Is indeed very troubling and worrisome, and begs the question, do they have something to hide or cover up and do not wish to incriminate themselves before the commission and the public? Very interesting. Put up an image now of Michael Kerban's testimony, and he said, Michael Kerban said, there were 2 umbilicals which were approximately 350 feet in length, which could have been joined to make it longer. The persons who were willing to go into the pipeline were me and Conan. Catherine, who's the PARIA lady, Catherine was also present along with us and the Coast Guard. Catherine then made a phone call to the managers of PARIA, to the boss men. She said that she was letting us know that we are not allowed to go in the pipeline again because management was having a meeting. She told them they will make a decision and let them know. But who was in this management meeting? We told Catherine that we had the proper equipment and we were ready to rescue. We told her that we were going to do it. I told her that it was so dangerous to go down into the pipeline that I went in the pipeline and I came back out. So what is stopping us now? The Coast Guard officers then said we were here to make sure that you do not go back in the pipeline. She did call them and they said they were in a meeting and they would get back to us. Go up there quickly if it are more yellow there. Next one. Right? But the PARIA management was in a meeting with Stuart Smallpin Young. And then instructions came. Next one. You can move that now. Dive companies in today's newspaper. Dive companies, PARIA Fuel didn't ask us to rescue divers. We just see lie after lie after lie. Page 7, Guardian. Charlene Rampasad. PARIA Fuels General Manager Mushtaq Mohammed says the company took the recommendations of the TNT Coast Guard and 4 diving companies. It was unsafe to rescue the 4 LMCS divers trapped in the pipeline. That's what Mushtaq Mohammed, the PNM man, say. The Coast Guard and 4 companies tell him, don't go, it's too dangerous. They're 2 of the companies. However, 2 of the companies he named say they were never asked to rescue the men. And a 3rd company says they only made a decision not to attempt the rescue the next day, 25 hours later. In Mohammed's statement, this Commissioner of Inquiry, he said around 8:40 p.m. on February 25th, the first day of the incident, he asked PARIA's incident team commander, Colin Piper, to get the Coast Guard. So at 8:40 p.m., incident happened at 1 or so. Boudram come out at 3, say, hey, my boys there. 8:40, he calling for Coast Guard. Between 22:38 hours, which is 10:38, and midnight Friday night, Colin Piper reported to me that the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard did their initial assessment of the situation and concluded that it was too risky to dive in the pipeline. Really? What assessment could the Coast Guard do from on the surface? Are you telling me that from the surface at 22:38 at night time, the Coast Guard had Superman infrared eyesight to look down 40, 50 feet through the dark waters to see and assess what was underneath the water down there? What abject total nonsense all you're talking, these disgusting human beings. Right? But then, Archie, but the Coast Guard put in a statement, and here the Coast Guard. As far as I am aware, the decision to prevent persons from attempting a rescue was made by PARIA personnel and not by either myself, any member of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Diving Department, nor by any member of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Neither I, any member of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard Diving Department, or any member of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force had the requisite authority to do so. The decision by PARIA, however, was based on the assessment by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard Diving Department that an attempt at rescue can have severe health and safety implications, as stated in paragraph 9 and 10, Hargrave said. So everybody lying. And so now we know the OSH agency stated that PARIA lie. The Coast Guard now say PARIA lie. And 3 of the 4 that PARIA say, the diving companies, say they never talk to we about that, we never talk about that, and we never recommend nothing. 2 of them say they never ask them to do nothing. And 1 say, well, a day after, that it might be too dangerous. At that time, why all these lies? But Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj dealt with them. Run it, Archie.
You agree with me that the information you could have got from Mr. Boudram was to find out whether there was any obstruction in the pipeline to prevent any divers from going into the pipeline to rescue the men?
I would say no, because I would not know what Boudram would have said or what he would have encountered.
But were you interested to find out as a member of the incident command team?
Of course, that's why we got in touch with him.
But if you were interested to find out, you had Mr. Boudram, who could have given you first-hand information, the best evidence, and you spent hours trying to get cameras to go in to find out what you could have got from Mr. Boudram.
Okay, remember I mentioned to you, when we finally got through to Mr. Boudram started to recount the events, the personnel inside, and then we were informed by the person on the other side that he cannot speak much longer.
But would you agree with me that you did not take any steps, you or the IMT did not take any steps
I disagree with you.
to interview Mr. Boudram before 10 o'clock?
I disagree with you.
What steps you took?
We said, I earlier said that we had someone from the HSC team.
But you cannot tell us who is that person. Did that person report to the IMT?
That person reported into the HSC team who would have provided that information.
Mr. Y, as a member of the IMT, were you interested in taking steps to rescue Mr. Budram?
Of course.
According to your statement, it was important for the IMT to make a decision to rescue, to find out what was the condition in the pipeline in order to determine what action it will take. Because according to your statement, Mr. Y, there were several divers that you all contacted for the purpose of going into the pipeline. Am I not correct?
Yes.
Right. So here it is. You have a man who just came out of the pipeline. He could give you all that information, right? Why it is that I haven't seen any evidence that PARIA or the IMT got someone to go with him to the hospital to get information whilst he was at the hospital to get information.
And on top of that, when you hear it, you have Christopher Budram who came out, rescue missions go ahead sometimes without intel. You're just hoping that people are alive and you're doing the best you can. These people had a witness who was down there. God direct him out. He come out with full information. And that clown there say, yeah, talk to the man to find out what's going on down inside it. Furthermore, they had proof of life all around. You had Budram, then you have Mr. Ramuta's statement, right? And here Mr. Ramuta stating, because Budram come out and he tell everybody he could see, hey, my boy Pies and them right there, all of them, all you go back for them, go back for them, go back for them, go back for them, they right there, go back for them, right? Well, here next man, Ramuta said, Budram kept telling us that Faizi is right behind. His face and everything was covered with oil. It had a chain block hanging from the chamber, said Ramuta, when he went back to try and go down in the pipeline. This is what Christopher used to bang. I tapped. So Ramuta now gone down and he tapped with the 4-tap emergency using the chain block. Bam, 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 bam. This is a code used by divers for emergencies. I felt the vibration of 4 taps coming back from inside the pipeline. That wasn't enough for Ramuta. He do it again. Bang, 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 bang. And he wait. And he get bang, 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 bang. A few more times. Proof of life. And all you leave men down there to dead. But you knew you had a survivor. You had full intel. You knew that the next man was close by. You knew that they needed oxygen. You knew that the men were alive. And you did nothing. You told others to stand down. You took active part in stopping and preventing. Your team at PARIA, the management took active part in preventing people from going to attempt a rescue. Ladies and gentlemen, I warn you now that what you may have heard it before, but what you're going to hear, no matter how many times you hear it, is going to bring a tear to your eye and bring utter sadness. Because a GoPro was retrieved and the GoPro showed you that these men were alive, breathing, kicking and talking just like I'm talking here. Listen carefully and then understand that Newman George, Colin Piper, Stuart Smallpin Young, the Minister of Energy, and all the PARIA staff, down to Catherine, who instructed that the management that no rescue go on, and the lies that were told on the OSH, on the Coast Guard, and on the other diving companies. This is a serious matter, and criminal conduct is clear. Listen carefully.
pause is good. You've gone back to the beginning now. I just wanted to be clear of what we're looking at, please, Mr. Maharaj. As I understand it, it's Kazim Ali who is in the water with scuba equipment.
Yes, it's Ali.
He's been passed a wrench.
A wrench.
Presumably that's the one that was going to be used to undo the plug.
The plug. The mechanical
he's then
plug.
dived down. He's come up inside
The habitat.
the habitat, and we can see him coming up inside. And who's the man that we see standing with his back? Do we know who that is?
We don't know who it is. But we think it's Christopher.
It may be Christopher Boudreau. Oh, all right. So, and that's where we left it. I wonder if we can go back then, please, so that we know what we're looking at. Thank you.
Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, Newman George, Colin Piper, Mushtaq Mohammed, and the rest of the PARIA management. They were alive. There was oxygen. They were talking. They were giving reports. Christopher Boudreau, the hero, left them, promised them that he'd come back to go and give intel, to tell the rescuers that they are all alive and well. And you left them there for 39 hours to die a slow, painful death.